Hey, welcome back everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to start with drawing the spine and just kind of explain the process. And when I'm practicing these figure drawing studies, I'm really trying to get in more curves, something that looks and feels a little more organic. So that's why I start with this S curve and then basically position the shoulders and the hips in an orientation where they show that tilting. And obviously I could put more twist in the body as well, but I feel like if you start with these basic shapes of the orientation of the shoulders to the hips and the curvature of the spine, you're kind of primed and ready to go to get something a little bit more organic and fluid. It doesn't mean that you couldn't possibly still find a way to stiffen this up as you render it. I have that problem. Don't feel bad if you do. It takes a lot of practice to get better at figure drawing and to start drawing characters that feel soft in the areas that need to feel soft, rigid and tense in the areas that need to feel tense and rigid. It's a never-ending battle. And that's really where just drawing from life over and over, like this one actually wasn't from life, but before I did this one, I drew 2 from life today. I drew about 8 yesterday. So I always tell people, I think a really good number, if you can get to it, if you're going to do this seriously and really try to see your skills develop, is 5 to 10 poses in the morning. It's almost like working out. If you can like get right to it and commit yourself to whatever that number is. And that number is subjective because we all draw at very different speeds. So I don't want you to compare what you think something takes me or anybody else that you look at their work and go, okay, all right, I got to get 5 of those out. And then you go to do it. And since you're so concerned with the time frame at first, you're kind of upset by the lack of quality that you might get. So it's a very tricky thing because you do want to get to a point where you're trying to do 5-minute studies, 1-minute studies, but it's a very different thing. So if you go for 1-minute studies, or that's a really hard one. I have a hard time getting down to 1 minute, and I've been doing this a long time. 2 minutes, we'll say. And I still have a hard time on certain days doing that. But what I usually get there is something very gestural, very quick. You don't really have time to think about forms and volumes as much. I mean, quickly, but it's more about capturing sweeping lines and flow through the body, right? So it sort of forces you to do that. Now, when you're going for more detailed studies, which I would call this middle of the row. It's not a fully fleshed out or finished illustration, but I'm definitely trying to study, or I call it a study, even though I'm just drawing from imagination here. I'm trying to see if I can remember, we'll say, certain elements of the body and get something that looks like an organic pose based upon the starting point that I showed you. So I just want to make sure to cover the idea that if you're very new to this, then longer time frame is fine. Don't focus too much on speed in the beginning, but as you feel more and more comfortable with it, the next way to challenge yourself will be the speed exercises. And I recommend sites like Quick Poses, Line of Action's another one. And they're fantastic because they're going to pop up random images in front of you, and you have sliders and adjustments you can do. So if you don't want to see particular types or you want to zero on a particular type of focus, you can do that. But then what happens is, as soon as this image pops up, you have to start drawing it, and you can set time frames as well. And it's just a great way to learn. I mean, obviously, it takes away that part where you're just going to be more inclined to draw what you feel like drawing. And so one of the reasons why I really like it, besides the fact that it helps us to grow faster when we do that, is it also gets us ready for real world experiences. You got to figure that if you're ever going to work in some professional capacity with this stuff, that chances are people are going to request certain things and you're going to have to think on your feet. And so anyway, sites like that do it. And you can create Pinterest boards as well, but again, you're a little bit more likely to just gravitate towards ones that you either feel more comfortable with or you just want to draw. And sometimes it's not always about exactly what you want to draw, and you got to mix in some of that of what you need to draw and what you need to be learning to grow the most. So with this one, I really just wanted to show you the process and also how I'm making distinctions from organic to angular parts at this, this part of the illustration. So if you notice, a lot of it was a little bit more angular at the start, and I tried to mix in those curves. And again, I really tried to focus on the tilt from the shoulders to the hips, because I know that's an area where I particularly struggle to remember to get that organic nature of the body in place. So a lot of times you can go into a particular illustration with the things that you know that you're going to probably get wrong. Like you say, okay, I know I always seem to stiffen up this part of the body, so I'm going to throw a big curve in that area. Or when I go to connect it, like right now, I'm connecting all of it together, right? I'm trying to use as many curves and bends as I can. You see I'm changing the elbow there, because it's another thing is I always would draw the elbow too parallel flat to the shoulder, we'll say. Well, it doesn't. It angles back. You actually catch, from certain angles, you catch the side of one of your epicondyles, and then the bottom of the elbow is actually the tip of the ulna, or the bottom of the ulna. So that's why you get that angle there. You're not just getting one bone, you're actually getting two bones that are, it's hard to explain. You almost have to do studies of just the joints, which obviously that's something we all have to make time for as well. But anyways, that's really what happens. Like, you start to piece all this stuff together. As I always tell people, this stuff is like a puzzle, and it's probably one of the reasons why I always feel like anybody can draw. Maybe not anybody can draw as well as anybody else. That's probably a silly statement to make, but I feel like anybody can do at least a lot better than where they're at, because I don't know, I just look at them like puzzle pieces, and I'm constantly trying to figure out better ways to create and intertwine the pieces of the puzzle. That's why I'm so big on learning techniques and sharing them here on the channel, because I don't know, I feel like there's certain things that once you learn it, you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have known this 10 years ago. It changed the way that I look at a lot of things within my art. And that's where, to me, techniques are so important. But I know some people are like, they're more in this idea of like, no, you can either draw or you can't, and it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know why, but some people just think of it more like that. We're all different. But anyways, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. I got more of these planned for you, but I would love to know what you think and what else you'd like to see on the channel, and I'll get that going. So thanks so much. Good luck with the art, and bye for now.